They will even say, the indigenous community will even say that their biggest supporters in Congress have been Republicans, but yet they continue to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is this, it's like the whole model is broken.
So who is she? And why does this clip need to be shared with every single woman between the ages of, say, 20 and 60? This is Nicole Shanahan, the ex-wife of Google co-founder Sergey Brin. Why they got a divorce? We can only speculate. Maybe if we listen to what she has to say, we might get some clues. She was the former running mate of RFK Jr. in this recent election, and she has personally signed 9-figure philanthropy checks. She's no scrub. Is there a female version of a scrub? She's not that. She is now whistleblowing on the whole Silicon Valley wife mafia. So let's hear what she has to say, because this is one of those glorious I told you so moments that every single conservative, right-leaning Republican gets to bask in the glory of.
What happened around the pandemic is that this whole other segment, what I don't think many of the tech mafia wives realize is that they were used to set the groundwork for what was called like the reset, what is called generally as like the reset by the Klaus Schwabs.
Like
of
the
the
Great
world.
Reset.
The Great Reset. Yeah. They openly talk about this Great Reset.
Yeah.
So the tech wife mafias, I believe, were kind of being conscripted in many ways, and their money especially was being conscripted in to set the groundwork for the Great Reset.
Yeah. Specifically through
a network of NGO advisors, relationship with Hollywood, relationship with Davos, and their own companies.
And that relationship with Hollywood is changing. We're watching it change in real time. The power that the mainstream media once had is gone, and Hollywood is following it. It was only a month or two ago when Wired ran that article that went viral showing that many, many leftist influencers were being paid $8,000 a month so that they can continue to make left-wing or woke content. Even if they weren't being told what to say and what not to say, the money was being paid to those who had the ideology that the people who were funding it wanted them to have. It was the same with CNN. They hired people who already believed certain things. It's all about amplification of the messages that they want. Last year I had merch for sale, but it wasn't made here in America. I am currently looking for a manufacturer who produces and ships in America. In the meantime, you can support me by liking this video or sharing it. Those two things alone are huge for me and the channel.
So if you look at like who's on these boards, who hangs out with each other, how the culture of tech wealth works, like Silicon Valley tech wealth, and that small group of people responsible for a huge amount of money and a huge amount of NGO activity across the United States. It's a really small group of people, and it's a really small group of people making these decisions.
Yeah.
And then completely blind to everything else that's going on and how their groundwork is being used to then enable these other policies, these Great Reset policies. Now, what this group of women doesn't realize is that in their haste, these women are all very busy.
Yeah.
They have multiple properties. They have tons of staff. They have staff issues, chronic staff issues. Their kids are busy. Their kids oftentimes have some health issues as well. A lot of them have relationship issues with their husbands. And a lot of them themselves are like medicated on SSRIs and antidepressants and all of that because it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, so it's chaos, and these women find their meaning through their philanthropic work.
Yeah.
And they find themselves, like I would find myself, that was my self-worth, was my philanthropic work, and I really believed in it. I really believed that I was giving Black communities a chance to like rise up out of oppression. I really believe that I was helping indigenous communities rise up out of oppression. And now that I look back and see how all those grants were forming, you know, because my version of success is those communities are actually uplifted.
Yeah. Not just more money pumped into them.
Not just more money. No, the problems of the community have gotten worse. Crime in the community has gotten worse. Mental health in the Native community, the indigenous community, has gotten worse. They will even say, the indigenous community will even say that their biggest supporters in Congress have been Republicans, but yet they continue to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is this, it's like the whole model is broken. The whole model makes everybody worse off. And now we're contending with the frickin' Great Reset that we're now realizing is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that many of our climate change issues are geoengineering issues.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is like, at the end of the day, they always go to that. They're like, but climate change. And then,
yeah,
and
that
was
really
like,
is the end all be all. Like, you have to let us do this because of climate change.
yeah. Social justice and climate change, it always boils down to those two things, and it gets progressive women 100% of the time.
It does. It does.
This post is amazing. This was one of the formers of the Great Reset. This is one of the people who were involved in it. I helped build the WF's Great Reset, and this was a reply to that video. I helped build the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. Here's what it really is from the inside. The WEF sold the Great Reset as a Build Back Better, climate action, ESG, inclusion, and PPP. In practice, it shifted power away from voters to NGOs, corporate elites, and unelected technocrats. Policy was relabeled science to silence debate. Markets were warped by ESG scores, carbon taxes, and paper-pushing regulation. Corporations were turned into enforcers of ideology. As Nicole Shanahan reveals, communities weren't uplifted, wealth and power were pushed upward. We got higher energy bills, debased money, an affordability crisis, fewer jobs, and creeping control over how we live and speak. I questioned it then, I walked away, and I've been speaking out ever since. I thought this reply was rich, coming from Chamath Palihapitiya from the All In podcast. He's one of the four. If you haven't seen that show, it's a bunch of tech billionaires whose wives fall perfectly into this category. David Sachs, who's the AI and crypto czar, is working in the White House, and all of them promote free market capitalism. They're the ones that are perfectly fine with importing a bunch of Indians and a bunch of Chinese to work for these tech companies. And at the same time, they try and pretend that they are America first. They're the types that would be perfectly fine replacing 75% of jobs overnight with AI or immigrants, and believe there's going to be no social impact to American citizens. They are not Americans first. They may be America first, and in that regard, the American stock market first, but they are not Americans first. So let's read what this person without a mirror in their home has to say. Private equity wives or tech wives and power-hungry globalist technocrats will cause the end of days. The former comes from a place of guilt because they did nothing themselves to make the largesse they enjoy and are thus riddled with guilt. The latter schemes to collect power because they believe they are morally and intellectually superior. Both are corrosive. We undo this hysteria by being principled, logical, and believing that large groups of people with independent incentives will always find a better way. He gives no actual advice. Here is how we undo this hysteria. There are two competing forces. It is those who seek to consolidate power and to grow power, and those who wish to disperse power and have smaller, localized forms of power. Those are the main competing forces in society. Globalism is all about creating one universal power, one world government. America, trying to fix all of the problems in the world, is America saying that the world is one country, that the world is our problem, that nations and countries don't have control over their own destinies, that the native populations that these women are trying to help don't have responsibility over their own destinies. If you want to know what America would look like had the natives or the prior populations who lived here before the Europeans came over and started settling here, look no further than South America. The wars that the natives had were going on prior to the Europeans. In fact, Native Americans joined European forces to fight other natives. Now here's the kicker. We came over. Britain still controlled us, still managed us. What did we do? We fought the Revolutionary War, and we became more independent. We became less globalized. Did it affect trade? It absolutely did. They created the Prohibition Act or something. Sorry, I don't remember the name of it. But it made illegal to do any trade with America at all. They used their naval armies to stop any importations during the time. One would argue that that harmed the free market, but it was worth it to keep our independence. It was worth it to allow ourselves to become one people and for us to create our own destinies. So what I would tell these women who are in these positions of power, these wives of these men who have these resources, is to influence their husbands into stop sending jobs to other countries, stop sending opportunities to other countries, stop importing cheap goods from other countries. There's this idea that GDP is the most important statistic that there is. As an American, I would prefer less GDP, but more for you and me.